welcome to Behind the Bearcat. This is the podcast where the Northwest Missouri State University Career Services Office chats with Northwest faculty, staff, students, alumni, and friends to hear about their career journeys, how they got to where they are, and how they became Bearcats. I'm Career Services Assistant Director Travis Klein.
And I'm Hannah Christian, the Director of Career Services here at Northwest. And today's guest on our show is...
Hi, I'm Olivia Parker. I am an English ed major and a career ambassador here at Career Services.
Welcome.
Olivia. All right. So first off, we would love to know what year are you and how did you come to be at Northwest?
I am currently a freshman here at Northwest, and I pretty much heard about Northwest just because I grew up around Maryville, so I was aware of the school, and I kind of just wanted to go somewhere close to home. So,
Did you consider other options? I mean, did you look at other schools?
I mean, at one point I was actually pretty curious about a Japanese university, but I kind of felt like I had a reality check, and I was like, well,
That's
yeah,
a long ways away.
it is a very long ways away, yes. And I was like, well, maybe a little closer to home. Think small first and then
Mhm.
grow. So that's
That's
pretty far.
that's what study abroad's for too. You can always explore that later on. So
Oh yeah, definitely.
Did you know what you wanted to major in when you came to Northwest?
At first, I wanted to be an art major because I enjoy doing art, but after I'd say fall semester, I was like, well, I don't know if I want to like draw for other people. I figured out I kind of wanted to draw for me. And after I helped one of my international friends with his English homework, then I was like, well, I kind of enjoy this. I like writing books. So I was like, English teacher, that sounds like fun. So I'll give that a whirl. And I'm really enjoying it so far. It's been really fun.
What is your favorite class this semester?
Ooh, that's a toughie. I want to say it's my academic literacies class because it's challenging and the teacher, he is laid back, but he really pushes you to do the best that you can. Not that my other classes aren't doing that. It's just in that particular class, it really feels like I'm being pushed in my writing and that kind of criteria.
So is writing what you want to do? You mentioned writing books. Is that the goal when you graduate? Or
This may seem far fetched. I tell everybody this. That's a far fetched goal, but right now I'm learning Korean. I would love to be an English teacher in Korea
Mhm.
if possible. But I also I do like writing books on the side. I write on an app called Wattpad.
Mhm.
So actual people can read the stuff I write. So that's fun.
I don't think it's a far-fetched goal at all. I think that's an amazing and actually very realistic goal.
Mhm.
Um I know a lot of people who have gone on to teach English there.
Mhm. Some of them
What
stayed even. I know folks that went to teach and were planning to stay for a year, and then they stayed and never did come back. So, yeah, that's definitely doable, and we've had folks on the podcast before who write books that are in part of the Northwest community, so that's certainly a possible thing that can be done for sure.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Mhm,
what has been, so we're kind of talking through, right? You've been at Northwest now for 1.5 semesters, right?
hmm
What has been the most surprising thing to you about coming to college? Something that maybe you didn't expect?
There's a lot to list. I'd say just kind of how friendly people are. Like all of my friends, they're all international friends, literally from around the world. They are the most welcoming people I've ever met, and they're really, really nice. And the teachers are. I was surprised how willing they were to help you. Like
mhm.
honestly, like I was like, well, yeah, they're gonna help me, but probably not like talk face to face. But they do talk face to face. At least my teachers do. Um,
That's a good surprise.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, my high school, they always helped, but, like, I feel like college, it hits a little differently when they help you one-on-one just because there's thousands of students that they have to keep
Mhm.
track of and grades. It can be overwhelming for the teachers for sure.
I think sometimes students are surprised how few other students ask for help of their faculty. Like, they are willing to help, but if you don't ask
Yeah.
for it, they don't just offer it. So,
Yeah, it's like if you don't ask, you don't get it.
You don't receive.
You
absolutely.
don't receive. It's your part too. You have to ask questions too. It's not just
Mhm.
all on them. So, I
What
try
about
to make sure I ask questions.
what about living on campus? What has surprised you about that?
The really it's like the community of each building. They all have their own little community and like their own little atmosphere, I guess. I
Hmm.
used to live in HP until September and fall semester. I just HP, like it's great for people who like living there. For me personally, it wasn't my vibe, and I had been visiting Dietrich a lot because of my international friends, and I liked the community there. It seemed more my style. So I
Hmm.
ended up moving to Dietrich, and I love living there. It's like awesome.
That's good to know.
Hmm. Absolutely. You're also a career ambassador, and you found that job pretty early in your college career. Can you tell us how you found the career ambassador job and kind of the journey to become one?
Well, I found out through honestly through my parents and Heather. I talked to Heather beforehand just because I was curious and I couldn't find anything on like the Northwest student employment website. So I talked to Hannah and she told me about it. So I was like, yeah, I'll give that a shot. I'll try it. I'll try to apply and luck was nice to me and now I
Hmm.
have a awesome job with awesome people. So
Were you nervous for the interview process?
I was more so nervous about the group interview process just because I didn't know how everybody. I think it's because of like all the emotions in the room. There were so many people with different emotions, and I'm an emotional person, and I kind of sense other people's emotions. So I was like, "Oh, they're nervous. Should I be nervous?" And but the one where I was by myself, I was totally chill. I mean, I was a little nervous, but not enough to make me shiver my timbers.
And I think that's what we look for. That group interview is supposed to be awkward for everybody. So, we like to see what you're like when things are a little awkward, and then the individual when we just kind of want to get to know you. So between the two, we liked what we saw, and that's why you became a career ambassador. So
Yes, I did well.
yes.
So talk to us a little bit about what you do here. I mean, what does it mean to be a career ambassador? What things do you enjoy about it? What are you learning?
So for me, being a career ambassador is just helping people find jobs and help them improve with their resumes. Because if you think about it, resumes are a big part of your adult life. If you're looking
Hmm.
for a job, and a really good resume is really good for like employers. It gives them a really good first glance. What I do here, pretty much, I look over potential jobs, making sure they're not scams, because no one likes that. That's just rude. um,
And there's a lot of those
There
out
are a
there,
lot.
yes,
unfortunately.
so many. I've come across so many. Like I remember this one. I'm never gonna forget this one. I was looking over. He just copy and pasted a random set of information. Just copy and pasted. Didn't give me like a URL to click on so I could see what the job was like. Didn't give me a salary. He just copy pasted everything, and it was obvious. And I'm like, dude, no, this no, not happening. I'm also like I work at Career Closet. That's pretty chill. I like organizing clothes and like helping people find stuff. I also help students in person or via email for, like I said earlier, checking resumes and critiquing them. I think there was one odd one that I came across where they had all kinds of like funky font in their bulletin points for like one was a clear circle, one was like like a dash, and one was just like a normal circle. I'm like, no,
Hmm.
just calm down. Just we need this calm down.
It's the
But
artist in you coming out. Those are
yes,
good instincts. Yes.
because like the way I explain it to people whenever I critique them and they have different like bullet points or like all their information is like on one side. I know people probably can't see the motion I'm doing, but I'm basically moving my right hand to my left hand.
Hmm.
Um, basically, they'll have all their information on one side, leaving the right side completely blank. And I'll tell them, I'll be like, hey, if you move your dates and your GPA over to the right side, it will balance the paper out so it doesn't feel one sided. And that way, all your information isn't squished together.
Hmm.
Because I mean, you can have your information close together, but if you have it squished like that, it's really hard to read and you really have to like focus. And
Hmm.
I don't know if like many employers would take the time to do that. I feel like
Hmm.
they would just want to concise to the point and easy to read. So I
You are
kind of,
correct.
yeah, I kind of just explain it like that. I'm like, if you balance it out, it looks more balanced, it looks fresh, it's easier to read, and it'll please the future employer probably a lot more.
Mhm. Have you got to the point we find career ambassadors very quickly among their friends and their peers? They become like the person to come to ask about resumes and cover letters, and they do a lot of kind of working when they're not at work, helping their friends. Has that happened yet?
Yeah, with Reedy.
Okay,
I
awesome.
come to her before I had my resume review. I'm like, help me,
Hmm.
please, because I mean, I had that resume since high school. We
Hmm.
had a specific class for that kind of resume because my business education teacher, she was explaining it. She's like, resumes are important, and I'm glad we took that class. I'm so glad now. Back then, I was kind of like, that's kind of boring, and but
Hmm.
it's it's important. So Reby has
Hmm.
helped me a lot. She went through it, and I had Dee Dee go over it, and actually Dee Dee helped me with like a cover letter like thing for an RA interview I did.
Hmm.
She helped me a lot with that because I'm not great at writing cover letters yet. I'm still
Hmm.
learning how to do that.
Nobody's great at writing cover
That
letters.
takes some practice.
And
Yeah.
even those of us who write cover letters, because that's what we do, like, it's always
Mhm.
easier to write a cover letter for someone else.
Hmm.
Fun fact.
Yeah, that's kind of the same with resumes. Honestly, I'm like, oh yeah, this, and then it comes to mind. I'm like, help me, please,
Hmm.
help.
How has it we've talked to a lot of international students, a lot of students who've come from far away. How does it feel to be a student who's kind of lived in the area and lived in Nottoway County, but now you're not living outside, but you're actually, like, on campus?
It's kind of odd. Like, at first, it was really odd. It didn't feel normal just because, like, at my house, I lived in the country. I don't really live in, like, town or anything. So it was kind of, like, odd to be hear all these, like, cars go by constantly. I mean, I live on a highway, but it's not the same as
Hmm.
cars constantly going by, the occasional shouting or 2 from students, but
Did you ever have any fire alarms or fire that went off in the night?
funny you should say that. Dietrich, this year, so many fire alarms. There was one, I kid you not, I woke up at 5:30 in the morning because someone pulled the fire alarm, and I had class at 10 later that day. Was it 9? It was one of the 2, but I was like, No,
Hmm.
it's
Yeah,
sleepy
people
time."
forget. People forget. I think that's one thing that I think is hilarious. People forget that, like, they wanna blame college students all the time for being irresponsible, but when you basically live in a hostel where people are constantly pulling the fire alarms, like, it's not like you're going home to your
Yeah,
safe,
Hmm.
secure cave every night
yeah,
and sleeping a full 12 hours or whatever.
yeah. And it's yeah, even then, like, my friend group, we never really sleep at a normal time, quotation
Hmm.
marks. Like, we usually go to bed at, like, 1 or 2 in the morning just because like, we'll all come together, we'll work on homework, or we'll just talk and chill. Like, my friend group, we're really, really chill. Like, all my international friends, they're really chill. Like, it's kind of funny because 'cause they'll ask me to explain some things in English. If this is off topic, I am sorry.
You're good.
Yep. There is
Um,
no topic. You're the topic. So
I'm
follow
the topic.
follow
Ooh,
your muse.
scary. You're giving me
That's
powers.
the dirty secret of our podcast.
Yep.
Oh, how dare. But they asked me
You'll
for help
explain
on
things
their
in English, yeah.
Hmm.
yeah, they asked help for English. I had one person, he's from, I think, South India or yeah, he's from South India. He's not from Nepal. Um, and he was asking me, I said, "Hey guys," and he was like, "Is that," he just asked me to define what it was. I'm like, "Well, guys can if you say hey guys, it can mean like everybody in the room, or if it's like if I'm just in a room full of guys, like actual boys, then yeah, that's how you greet them. But when I say hey guys, I'm like, generally it's like hey everybody. He's like, oh, okay, okay, okay. But they'll ask me like to define certain things or like explain how American football works. I am not a sports person. So that I was like, I don't know what's happening any more than you guys do, and I get this every time. But you're American. You should know you're from America. And I looked at him and I'm like, that doesn't mean I know anything about football, sir.
Hmm.
It's just a funny little stereotype, I think.
Hmm.
It's so funny.
Well, I would imagine, I grew up in a town very similar to the one you did. I'm from Maitland, which is about 300 people, and like Very small town. Everyone in my class, we were basically together from kindergarten to
Mhm.
graduation of high school, and we all looked the same. We all had very similar backgrounds. Most of us were related. Honestly, I was always
Oh.
afraid to date people from my high school because I'd
Oh,
find out they
geez.
were a cousin or something later. So it's a very, very, very small, homogenous place. And then you come to Northwest, and like you say, you have friends. I had friends from Japan and friends from China, and people that I had classes with that were from totally different things, and that was one of the best parts for me was I'm finally around people that are different. They don't,
Yeah,
we don't all have the same experiences in life so far. So that's really cool. So,
yeah. I mean, my class in high school, it was around 26, 25 people, which is small considering what a lot of students here come from.
mhm,
And like my class were troublemakers, honestly. That's just how it is in small towns, I guess. And just meeting my international friends from like Nepal, South India, Japan, South Korea, Serbia, and I know there's another place, but I can't remember its name, which sounds horrible, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But I
So
am
how did you sorry for
no, no, go
interrupting.
ahead,
I'm
go
just
ahead.
so
mhm,
curious. So how did you meet these people,
mhm,
right? So what was the process and how did you find this friend group?
I actually met them through East Asia Organization, which is basically a club. I met the club at I think it's organization fair club organization day or something like
Yeah,
that.
the
I can't
org fair. Yeah.
Yeah, that. And I met them and they pretty much what I saw was what I wanted and I was interested in because I'm deeply interested in Asia culture and like I said, I'm trying to learn the Korean language so I can hopefully teach there. And I went to the meeting and I started talking to one of my Japanese friends, Kota, and little by little, all everybody came over and was like, "I heard anime, I heard K-pop. What do you listen to?" And
mhm.
we all just started talking, and eventually, I just hung out with them, and we started having fun and stuff. So
How long have you been interested in Asian culture?
since high school, honestly, probably since freshman year when I learned about it. I'd say when I was interested, because I was trying to learn the Japanese language around sophomore year, and then I was introduced to K-pop, and I was like, never mind, never mind. I want to learn Korean. So, because like Japanese, they have three alphabets. Korean has one, that's Hangul, and Japanese they have hiragana, katana, and kanji. Kanji is the hardest. Uh, Katana is like middle ground, and I think hiragana is like the easiest one in my opinion, but
Mhm,
I'd have to ask my friends, but kanji is the hardest, and hangul is it's kind of easy, but it's kind of difficult. But because it's so different from English speaking, because they place their verbs in opposite order of we do. Like their sentence structure is totally different, which is a little bit of a challenge, but
mhm.
it's so fun to listen to, honestly.
So, fun fact, my oldest daughter is an 8th grader, and she is part of the group that is very into anime, and they listen to Japanese music all the time. And I don't know the artist, the names of the
Mhm.
songs, but there's a few very catchy, very this music is like good music. And so
Mhm.
I'm like, I've been singing Japanese songs lately. I don't know what I'm saying.
As
I
one
have no
should.
idea what's going on, but it's very easy to listen to. So
Mhm,
That's why you
I
look
would
up the
never have
lyrics.
expected that, but
mhm,
Yeah, it's I think the artistry music aspect of it is super different too. Like
mhm.
that's what I mean, I mostly listen to K-pop more than I do American music anymore because the artistry is fantastic. It's very catchy. I like their style a lot more than American style.
so, actually, that just dawned on me that likely some of our listeners have no idea what K-pop is. Could you
Yeah.
explain that?
Oh, sorry. It's K-pop is essentially Korean pop culture. So it's basically Korean hip hop in the Korean language. And they have like different like groups and idols and stuff. So like the idols are like part of like a big group. They're separated into girl groups and boy groups basically. Very rarely, I think if I remember correctly, there are some where boys and girls will be in one group. I think there's a band called Card. They're two men, two girls, and they're a musical group, but mostly they're separated. So I
Interesting.
I hope that answers your question.
So like BTS is the one that most people know, right? So that's the big boy, or
Yeah,
was the big boy
that's
band a couple years ago, maybe. So,
they're still big, but they're all on most of them are on military leave right now.
mm. Oh yeah, because
military
it's you have
service.
to serve military as a
Yeah,
male.
they
Yeah.
have to have a military service. But like other popular groups like Stray Kids, they're not on military time right now, I don't think, but they're getting ready to release another album, I think. Um, like there's a lot of groups. Like BTS is the most popular one. I'm gonna be honest, and this might break some people's hearts, but I don't really listen to them. Like I listen to a few songs, but I mostly listen to like Stray Kids or any other band really. But I do listen to a couple BTS songs, just not enough to know all of them.
Mhm. I'm
I
interested, you
listen to all the
mentioned
things and I know
yeah,
nothing, so
yeah. I'm in you mentioned you started in Hudson Perrin and then moved to Dietrich, and I before I worked this job, I was in admissions, and we had such a hard time trying to convince students to live in Dietrich in the high rises because they wanted Hudson Perrin where it was pod style. So, what was it
Yeah.
about Dietrich that you liked? You mentioned it was kind of the vibe and the culture, but can you kind of tell us a little more about that? Maybe some specifics on what contributed to the vibe of Dietrich?
Yeah, I think it's just how welcoming everybody was. Like, I'm not saying Hudson Perrin wasn't, but when I was living there, when I would walk around, I didn't really feel welcomed. Like, some of the people there, they would give me like side eyes. I mean, it's just I would be nice and I would just get like a side eye. I just didn't feel comfortable there. So I went to Dietrich and everybody was just so nice. They just started talking to me and I'm like, "Oh, you're talking to me? Okay, I'll talk to you." And just I got to meet the sixth floor RA, who is my RA now, and she was talking about it, and that's pretty much what sold me on the idea. Because I mean, I just all a lot of international students live there. I'm like, well, this is a great way to meet more people, and
Mhm,
a couple of my friends live there. I mean, a lot of my international friends, most of the Japanese and Nepali, they lived in South
mhm.
for. So we would kind of just go back and forth from South to Detroit every night just to talk to them and stuff. But just I think it's just the community of Dietrich, how welcoming everybody is. If you, like, have an issue, like, recently this week, I mean, I've had a rough week, but I was able to talk to somebody about it, like one of the RAs, and they were just totally fine and they listened. Whereas, like, Hudson Parent, I feel like for me personally, I wasn't really comfortable talking with the RAs, but that might be because I wasn't that might be on me, like,
Mhm,
if you know what I mean. Like, I could have talked to them, but I chose not to.
mhm.
So that could be on me, but I just like the community aspect of Dietrich more. It feels more, yeah, it feels more welcoming.
I think too, and maybe part of that is just it's as a first semester freshman, I mean, things are all new and kind of overwhelming,
Yeah.
and it takes a little bit of time to find your place kind of on campus, right?
Mhm.
And once you
Yeah.
do that and you feel like, "Okay, I feel comfortable here, like, I know these are my friends." Sometimes when you feel like you've chosen to be in that group, it's so much easier to then, right, feel like you belong and feel like you're
Yeah.
in the right spot.
Because like I tried to make a couple friends with people in HP, but like it never really, we would talk one day and like I didn't exist the next day. So like I was like, meh. Not my thing. Not my thing, but everyone has their own, their own little vibe that they like or pizzazz that they like in certain buildings. To each his own.
Are you
So,
interested in studying abroad? I mean, are
Oh
do you
yeah.
think you'll be able to study abroad?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think senior year is when I want to do it. I would love to go to South Korea for my study abroad. That is like my goal right now. I really, really want to do that. Or like go to Korea sometime during summer break, either next year or the year after with my partner so he can show me around and I get to see what it's like there.
one of the things we always ask CAs when we have them on is advice for other students, maybe other freshmen who are starting out or students who are going to be freshmen next fall. Well, you've been through it, you've been successful for the last semester and a half. So, what advice do you have for maybe the folks coming behind you?
I would say like, first coming into like a university is really daunting, very
Mhm.
daunting for anybody, even if you're like the bravest person. Like I would say what helped me was going to organization fair. Like at first I was like, I'm not really gonna join anything because I just want to get freshman semester done, make sure I don't like have a whole bunch of homework due, but go to the organizations fair. You might find something you're interested in and you might meet a group of people that you're not gonna forget. Like your lifelong friends. Like I consider my friend group my lifelong friends. They always listen to you when you have issues. Like just organization fair, do it. Go there.
Mhm.
That's that would be. I feel like that would be a shame to miss out on. And if you can, talk to your RAs, get to know them better because you might find different RAs from different buildings. And if you find a building with the vibe more so that you like, don't be afraid to change,
Mhm.
especially if it's going to benefit you. Like, if you have a roommate, I wouldn't worry about the roommate says. Just explain to your roommate if you want to change buildings. Just be like, hey, I want to change. It's just, I like the vibe of this building more. Just, you know, if you have a roommate situation like I did. Where I just like, "Hey, I'm gonna move to this building." It's just, we're still chill. I just like this building better. But honestly, do what's best for you building wise and friendship wise. Just use the organization fair.
Very wise. That's a very wise piece of advice.
Absolutely. Yeah. Excellent. Anything else, Hannah? You've got this weird sun vibe. You look like
She
I
you're
know.
does,
in the
I'm
yes.
I'm sitting
multiverse.
here trying to
Yeah.
She
avoid whatever's going on here, but
she's an
it's not
angel
going
right
Got
now.
well.
some light reflection. Yeah, that's a little odd. So,
She's the chosen one.
yes.
I guess I think one of the things that maybe we've seen kind of students like you who are young and coming up, right? So how old were you whenever COVID hit? You were freshman in high school?
Well, how many years ago was COVID?
I have no idea.
3 at this point. 3. Yeah.
3?
Sophomore
3.
in high
Okay.
school?
I'm 19 right now. Maybe
Yeah, so you're like a sophomore.
sophomore or junior, one of the 2.
How do you feel like that's affected do you or maybe it hasn't. Has that affected your sense of, like, what it means to go to college? Or
Mm, I'm probably gonna say an unpopular opinion, but no, it really hasn't. Me personally, I didn't really let it get it to me. I was like, yeah, this is inconvenient. Oh well, it's just something I'm gonna have to deal with. I mean, the way
Mhm,
I was raised, pretty much, is just you got to push through it, even though it might be inconvenient, but you push through it, you'll get there. It'll be fine. I just didn't let that deter me from my goal. Because if
mhm,
I let that deter me from my goal, then I felt like, well, that's kind of a stinky attitude for me to have.
mhm.
You
Mhm.
know,
So
it's
I
just, "Hmm?
go ahead.
Oh, you can go. It's
I
fine.
didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine." It kind of just like, if that deterred me from my goal, then I guess I don't know. I would be disappointed in myself that I let that affect me as much as it could have. But I was just like, meh, it'll pass. We'll live. I'll be fine.
So, I guess I ask that question because when we talk to employers, I mean, they're always getting fresh college students who are graduating and moving out into the workforce, right?
Yeah.
And so as students kind of come into college, we kind of see the different ways that they've been affected either by COVID or by technology or by the opportunity to work remotely. And so I'm always interested in kind of student perspectives on what it means, like what is a good workplace scenario for, what are you looking for when you graduate from college in a work position, in a job?
Mm. I'm looking for like a good environment where I'm going to feel comfortable and I'm actually going to be able to help future students. So like, I mean, if they have COVID regulations still, like just for example, like a wild example, if we still have COVID regulations where I'm going to have to work from home, like for a little bit, because there was like, say someone got COVID in the staff and we had to work from home, I would suck it up and do it. I mean, I want a friendly atmosphere, a chill atmosphere, or just like something where I'm going to be able to have my students enjoy what they're learning. Because that's kind of the whole goal for me. If I go to South Korea, I want the students there to enjoy what they're learning, have fun, feel free to talk to me if they have any issues, and because I mean, like that's what a teacher's there for. Not only to teach, but to like build trust with their students, so that way they don't like if the student's going through something, they don't feel alone. Because like you can give the student the best advice, but ultimately in the end, it's pretty much up to the student whether or not they take it.
Mhm.
Kind of like anything, like uh, Travis could give me some awesome advice for like a resume cover or like, fixing a resume. And it's ultimately up to me to decide whether I use it. it would be unwise not to use his wisdom since he has more experience than me, but I would heed any advice that he would give me to help. So, like, I would take advice from teachers that have been there longer than me, be like, okay, how does it really generally work here? Do you have any advice? And stuff like that. So teachers aren't like afraid to like give me advice if I need it.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're wise beyond your years for sure. So,
I don't know about that.
Travis says that because you said you would take his advice.
well, hey, that doesn't hurt. So, oh well, everybody listening should take my advice and come and meet Olivia by coming to the Career Services office if you have questions about resumes or cover letters. So, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it, and we're
Yeah,
so glad to have you on the staff, and excited to see how you grow and what you become over your time as a CA and time as a student here at Northwest.
thank you.
All right.
I,
Thank you so much.
yeah, thank you for having me.
Yes. All right. Well, that will do it for another episode of Behind the Bearcat, and we'll talk to you next time. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed that episode. If you did, be sure to give us a thumbs up below. That helps out. Also, if you've not done so yet, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. Also, we'd love to connect with you on social media. You can find Behind the Bearcat on Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Plus, the audio podcast comes out on Fridays on all the major podcast platforms. Thanks again for watching Behind the Bearcat, and as always, we'll talk to you next time.